And I got goosebumps and I'm getting them right now because I was just like, wow, like I really have worked through this.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sonam Sondhi. I am a Reiki master. I do sound healing and guided meditations. And I so profoundly believe in all of its benefits that I try to bring you people that have had amazing experiences in just a few short sessions and how it's changed or impacted their life. So today we have Jackie. So we did sessions for about 2.5 months, and she probably had 8 to 10 sessions. And we're going to talk a little bit about all her experiences. Hi, Jackie.
Hey, how are you?
I'm wonderful and so excited. So, Jackie, did you have any experiences with Reiki, sound healing, or meditation prior to starting your first session?
No, I had no experiences going in. So I was like a piece of Play-Doh that you could mold.
Well, I mean, you weren't that moldable because you
Yeah,
were.
that's true.
So, what made you do your first session?
So I actually had a friend that also saw you, and she must have had like one or two sessions with you. And I could just like feel a difference in her and just like the way she was seeing things and working things out with herself and even situations that I was going through. And I was like, you know what? I've tried absolutely everything. I should give this a shot.
Some people don't know when to come to Reiki and alternative medicine. And I know that you had the talk therapy route, you went the medicinal route. Can you tell me a little bit about your experiences with both? Public service announcement? I don't believe that, Reiki is a complete replacement of these things, but just your perspective on how it affected your life in all three areas.
Okay. So I think the most beneficial way that it affected me was that I was able to lower my medications.
Mm.
So I'm not off of it completely, but I am lowered on that dosage. And it just taught me how to work through things.
Yeah.
I feel that while going to therapy, I was talking to my doctor, explaining what how I'm feeling. And it just was so like mind numbing talking about it and then taking the medication because I was never getting to the root of the problem and looking inside myself and saying, okay, like you feel this way, but why? Like, people tell me, oh, you're so pretty, you're so funny. Like, why are you so hard on yourself? And I couldn't figure out the answer to that
Right.
with the medications and talking to therapists.
But how long did you go to therapy?
So I dealt with a lot of anxiety and depression. So that's why I started going to therapy. And I had been going probably on and off for about 7 years. I saw this one psychologist and he gave me sort of breathing exercises and almost like a hypnotist type thing. He would like record tapes and I would go home and listen to them the night before competitions.
Mhm.
But when I quit skating and went to college, I didn't really have anything to release my anxiety or even my depression. And I was in such a rut that I couldn't get out of that. He recommended I go on medications.
Mm.
So I tried that route and it worked. I was on it for a while. And then I said, I don't want to be on this route only medication. So when I heard about you, I thought, I've tried everything. I've tried going to the therapist. I've tried taking the medications. And so why don't I go try your Reiki and sound healing and see like if it makes a difference, I remember my mom said to me too, she was like, Jacqueline, if you want to go see someone, we can find someone within your insurance, but why don't you do that and the Reiki? And I told her, I said, no, I don't want to do both. I want to try Reiki first. And I'll make a deal with you, mom. I'll go to therapy if the Reiki doesn't work, but I have a good feeling it will.
Oh, that's great. When you first started, how would you say, if at all, your life, your perspective, and your awareness has changed?
Completely. I think I have a totally different outlook on everything. Sometimes I do find myself reverting back to old habits, and I always tell myself, respond, don't react. I feel like I've always kind of looked at things from multiple perspectives, but now I think I look at the root more of
Mhm.
those issues. I think that this has helped me be able to work through those by being able to sit back and say, okay, it felt this way. Now, why? Like, what was my trigger that made me go from being, okay, like, let's talk about this to, I can't talk about this. Nope, shut down.
Yeah.
Like, I had these walls that were built and I didn't know how to lower them for people. I didn't know how to trust or even, you know, see the light in everybody or the light in beauty in life itself.
Or yourself.
Exactly. I immediately I would be so hard on myself, and I still can be, but this,
Remember in one of the sessions, I asked you, and because I couldn't understand the root of it, but the vision I kept getting was you couldn't look in a mirror, and I wasn't understanding why. And I was like, "Do you have a hard time looking in a mirror? You don't like looking at mirrors." And I think that like really hit an emotional chord for you. What was that like?
yeah, that definitely hit an emotional chord because it was the honest truth. I didn't feel worthy of myself, so to speak.
Yeah. And a big part of what brought you in was law school.
I went to law school with this thought of you have to be a lawyer. You're going to law school, you're going to be a lawyer. And never really looked at the possibilities of, you don't have to be strictly an attorney.
I feel like that's what's so hard because so many people like go to college with this idea of like, this is the career I want to do, or like, this is my plan. And then suddenly they're like, I don't want to do this, but they're like, well, I've invested all this time and energy, so I don't have a choice. But it's like, you have your whole life left. Like, what's 2 to 3 years? And just, there's no such thing as anything wasted. You don't know when that information and that experience is going to be applied again later in your life. But it almost felt like, well, now I have to continue, and like, I feel like so many people do that. But
Yeah, it felt more like an obligation than anything else.
if I may go a little deeper through all of this and finding yourself, I kept feeling like you didn't live with people. And I felt like your parents were around and something was going on with one of your parents. And so not only are you dealing with all of this and working and studying and like figuring out your purpose while dealing with everything emotionally and going through therapy, which in itself can be exhausting and requires so much energy. I found out in the midst of all of this, your dad is a little bit older than your mom and wasn't doing well. So how has Reiki helped in processing that?
It's changed me completely. Before, I felt guilty that my parents moved down to Delaware, and in June my dad had a stroke and I wasn't there, and then COVID, he had to go stay in the hospital by himself. And I just realized that I have this feeling of when he gets sick, I'm never there. Someday something's going to happen and I'm not going to be there, and I'm never going to be able to forgive myself for it. And I think it made me Reiki and the sound healing help me figure out how to be there without physically being there.
And I know that you went through, a huge hiccup, even with this, like you were just hit like one wave after the other.
It felt like every time I turned my head, I was being hit by something. It was like, when is this going to end?
Then it's like every time you did, you had more tools to deal with it. And so then you get hit with this friendship kind of like uncertain upheaval while you're studying. Your parents are away, COVID is happening, you're working. How were you able to better deal with surrendering and accepting what was happening?
It definitely taught me the importance of taking a step back and doing certain, exercises and meditations. And you had told me that you had some videos on your YouTube channel, and I would come home and be like, okay, I had a really stressful day. I'm going to do some yoga, and then I'm going to do one of those videos. I'm going to breathe, and just how beneficial it can be to clear my mind of everything that was irritating me, and, release that energy in this type of way, and then sit down and be like, okay, now this is why I got upset. What can I do going forward to not react this way and respond, and just always keep in the back of my mind that, everybody's going through their own type of issue. And
to surrender and know when there's nothing left that you can do, right? It's really hard when you feel, and in multiple relationships, this can even be with a spouse or a partner, but when you feel like you're not being heard or taken care of or abandoned, or they're not giving you the attention that you need, and then there's nothing you can do, and to just give them the space and trust that whatever's happening is happening, and there's at some point there's nothing you could do.
Mhm. And I think that is one of the biggest things that helped me realize was, I used to hate the saying, it is what it is. And now I'm like, okay, you know what? It is what it is. And whatever the universe has in store for me, it has a reason. I feel like it just, even, like the way I looked at myself in my body, like I didn't love myself. Oh, I can make this better. Oh, I can make that better. But I could never actually make those changes. I would start them and then fall off, or then start them again and stop. And it definitely helped me be more accountable in things. Even in law too, like, or I'm still going through the period where I don't know if I definitely want to be a lawyer, but it's given me a better outlook in the position I'm at now.
Yeah.
And, I wasn't the happiest at my job when I first started Reiki with you. And now I find that I'm definitely happier there. Like, I figured out ways to like maneuver myself into, okay, this is what I wasn't happy with. Like, what can I do to change that
Right.
on my part, and then let it flow?
Energy cannot be created nor destroyed. And when we pass on, there's a certain essence that's left of us that we can tap into and call upon and things like that. So I think one was experiencing your grandmother,
Yes.
and me knowing that it wasn't a happy experience for you, where normally you would just be like, oh, your grandmother came through, like, I'm so happy. And
Yeah.
it was like, oh,
No, I remember feeling so like uncomfortable in that session,
yeah.
but wanting to make myself stay. And I remember you asking me like, Jackie, are you okay?
Yeah. And I have goosebumps again, because it was, I could feel your discomfort, and I was like, I don't know who this woman is. It feels like a family member, but like, I don't know what she did to you. Like, I think it's your grandmother and you really don't like her. Like, something
Yeah.
happened.
It wasn't comfortable. It was like so nerve wracking. And I was like, she needs to tell me something. I have to stay here.
And so I kept feeling the same. And I was like, she has something to say to you. Are you okay to talk to her? And are you okay to open up to that? And you did. And how did that experience?
I definitely had a lot of built up emotion towards my grandmother. We didn't have the best relationship. And, even in that session, I didn't feel like she really talked to me. I felt like it was as uncomfortable it was for me. I'm sure she was uncomfortable too. But I remember at the end of it being like, I think I just forgave her. Like, I think I just let go of all of that tension and anger and frustration.
Yeah.
I went to one of your group sessions,
Yeah.
and I remember leaving, and I called my mom and I was like, Mom, I'm finally starting to believe in something again. Like, there's just more hope, and I'm finding the beauty in things that I didn't necessarily always find them in.
So that session, I remember you couldn't speak after we had that group healing, and you left. And I remember you came with somebody and they were going to come in the car. And I told them to wait. And I sat in the car with you because I could feel how much you had pent up. And because I knew you were uncomfortable crying in public, you needed to release.
Mhm.
You just sat in the car and you bawled it out. And then either right before that or right after that, what did your mom say to you?
She said, Jacqueline, for a while I've been very worried about you, and I don't feel that way anymore. And I got goosebumps, and I'm getting them right now, because I was just like, wow, like I really have worked through this.
Yeah.
And I think everybody should give it a shot.
I think that's the most amazing place to end. I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you for sharing your journey. I know that so much of this was such a vulnerability for you, because it was stuff that you didn't even tell me. I had to like
Yeah.
experience it and drag it through you, and like even things of like college and high school and you being competitive and in your sports and stuff, and you have so many layers to you, and you have gone through some stuff, but for you to be able to talk about it and share your experiences in such a profound way of being able to encourage others to do the work, and that, it was literally 2.5 months. It was 8 to 10 sessions,
I
but
know.
if you're willing to do the work, you know, it can transform your life, and it has for you. And I'm so proud of you. I really am.
Thank you. I can't thank you enough. I tell you all the time, I'm so grateful, and words really can't express that.
I feel it. And again, it's not really me. It's your guides and everybody helping.
Mhm.
And I'm just a vessel, but I'm honored to be a part of your journey, and I'm so thankful for you to share your experience. So thank you.
Absolutely.
All right. I'll talk to you soon. Thank you
Okay.
so much, guys, for watching.
Bye.
I love you. Bye.
You too.